Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you how you can connect your Amazon ads with Claude. And the easiest way to do this is using an API from Amazon ads. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube and they wouldn't explain the process in simpler terms. And there's like a couple of links that you have to click and, just find out a way to go. And it's all really complicated. But I've tried my best to keep it really simple in 4 to 5 steps. I'm going to attach the document that I'm going to just show you in the description. Just open the document and click on the links and follow the steps, and you'll have access to the ads API from Amazon. Now, an important process here is that you need to have Claude to do this because Claude really makes it simpler. When I was creating the API, I just took instructions from Claude because I literally couldn't find it on YouTube or anywhere else, even on the Amazon's website, right? Right, so here you can see my screen. The first step is to create a developer profile. Now, all you have to do is simply click on this link and it would take you to something of a website like this. It would be developer.amazon.com. And once you're here, just simply click on console. And once you do that, it'll ask you to, register your profile here. You're going to enter all the details. For example, the name, the email address, your company, your country, and so on. Now, once you're done doing this, it's pretty simple. It'll ask you to verify the identity. You're going to show some sort of ID card and it'll be done in literally under 1 minute. Once you're done creating the profile, you'll see something like this. Let me show you. So once you are in the Amazon developer profile, if you're in the home page, it would show something like this. Click on console. If you haven't already clicked on console, it'll take you to a screen like this. You're going to simply click on login with Amazon because that is the relevant information for us. Once you're in here, you're going to create a new security profile. You can name your profile name anything. You can keep the description anything. For example, I kept it Amazon Ads API. You can write the same thing in here. The privacy notice URL here is going to be any URL. You can literally put in amazon.com. It doesn't care. It would then save your security profile. Once it saves your profile, it'll show up something like this. For example, I already have 2 of them made. Once you click on the show client ID and client secret key, I'll give you 2 different keys. Now, I'm not going to reveal my keys, but for example, once you click here, you'll get the keys. You're going to simply save those keys because later on we would provide the keys to Claude and I'll show you the process. This was the first and second step. The third step is to submit an API application. Now, to submit an API application, you need to get out of the developer portal from Amazon and you need to click on this link. Once you click on this link, it'll take you here and it's simply an application where it would ask you to fill in data again. It would ask you how you're going to use the API. Do you have any security measures to prevent unauthorized access, and a couple of more questions. Now, it is important that you follow all of these properly because if you give them wrong information and you say like, I don't have any security measures in place to prevent unauthorized access, they would reject your profile. And so it's important that if you don't know how to fill all of this, simply just take a screenshot and provide this to Claude and say, hey, I need help, with the Amazon Ads API questions. And Claude would give you all the right answers. I'm not going to do this here, but that is a pretty simple process, right? Once you submit this for review, this is going to take a couple of days. It might even take a week or maybe more for some people who haven't included the right answers to these questions. Once you're done creating the key, from here, you're going to take your keys and you're going to go to Claude and paste it there. And you're going to mention to Claude that, hey, I want to connect the Amazon Ads API with Claude. And by the way, do this in Claude code, not the normal version of the Claude. Do this in Claude code. And Claude would then give you a redirect URL. Now, understand this process. This is going to be a bit different. A redirect URL is something that you're going to put in here. For example, if we go into test, if you go to web settings, this is where you're going to put the redirect URL. So you can see that it says allowed return URLs. This is where you're going to add the return URL. Simply click on edit and paste your return URL that Claude would give you here. right? Once you do that, save it and go back to Claude and say that I've done it. So I'll show you the process that I actually did with Claude Code, how I ended up connecting my ads to Claude, right? So it gave me a return URL, which was this. And it said add that back into the exact place that I showed you in the secret key. For example, allow return URLs. Once I saved it, it said that I'm going to now give you a another link. For example, it gave me this link, and I clicked on this link and I just approved the access. You can see it says the listener is running. Open the URL in your browser and approve access. I simply approved the access, and I was able to connect the Amazon ads with Claude. There was no other process. Now, there's one additional thing to note here is that I actually had node.js installed in my system, and I saw Claude running the code on my local host. So for example, for those of you who don't have a node.js installed, I would highly recommend that you do that. It's simply this application. If you go to Google and just click, if you just write node.js downloadable for Windows, if you're in Mac, do it for Mac. And once you have it, then go to Claude and do this process. I'm pretty sure that node.js was used within the process because it ran the code locally on my system. And that's literally all it takes to get access to the API. I'm going to show you what I then did. Once I had the access, I was able to create different campaigns on Amazon just using a simple prompt. I told Claude Code to make literally 4 campaigns on one of our brands, and it did all of that under 1 minute. You can see I provided the prompt here. By the way, I'm going to attach the prompt and show you in the video now. But for example, you can see it made an auto campaign, an exact campaign, phrase campaign. It repeated everything that I told it and confirmed from me. For example, here I confirmed, and you can see it created all these campaigns, and they were literally live under 1 to 2 minutes. It didn't take a lot of time. Just for security purposes, I actually told Claude Code not to make them live, and it was all in draft. For example, all these campaigns were definitely made, but there you can see they're paused right now because I actually told it to keep them in draft and post. I wanted to double check, but for example, if I just tell Claude right now to make these campaigns live, I'll go ahead and do that. And if I tell it to make any changes in my campaigns, I would do that. For example, any bets. I'm going to show you the prompt that I used, and by the way, I'm going to attach the prompt in the description below as well. You can see this prompt is pretty much editable, and this is actually usable for any new Amazon seller that is wanting to launch campaigns and doesn't have much of an idea of how to structure out their campaigns, what sort of campaigns to launch. Simply, the first campaign is an auto campaign, the second one is an exact, and the third campaign is a phrase match campaign. There's also another one which is called PAT. PAT stands for competitive targeting. If you want to target other competitors, for example, you can see these 4 ASINs that we're targeting. If you do all of these steps, for example, you don't have to just give the prompt to a Claude, but before you do that, just edit all the things in the yellow highlighted color here, because these are the things you need to edit. For example, you need to change your ASIN because my ASIN was different. You need to change your name of the product. Now, the naming convention that we use within all of our campaigns is something like it starts with the ASIN, then the product name, then the type of campaign that we're creating. For example, sponsored products, auto campaign, right? Now, these 2 things wouldn't change, and the only thing that's going to change is your ASIN and your product name. If you look at it from the start, you can see that I told it to create the campaigns as draft. Now you can change it and keep this as live campaigns, but I would highly recommend to keep it in draft. You can simply just tell Claude later on to make this live once you double check your campaigns. You can change the ASIN and obviously your brand name. You can change the market, but you could make this for Amazon Canada, which would be Amazon CA, and it could be for any market. And then the portfolio name has to be changed. Every campaign here goes to a single portfolio. You can change the name of the portfolio as you want, and you can change the brand name here because it's included within the prompt. Now, within all these campaigns, you can see that the only thing that you need to change is the name of the campaign, the ad group, which would be similar to the name of the campaign, your ASIN. I already instructed that, and it would be same in the other campaigns, except for the exact and phrase match. You would need to get your own keywords because these keywords are for my specific product. And to get these keywords, you simply go to Helium 10 and do your research. I'm not going to explain that process for now. And the same goes for the PAT campaigns. You need to input your competitor ASINs, which you can simply get from Amazon. Once you have the prompt edited, you can simply go ahead and give it to Claude Code, and it would create the campaigns in less than 1 minute, right? This was the process of creating an API key and providing all the prompt instructions to create your first couple of campaigns using Claude Code.